We have been talking about the Cavs hitting this wall since the All-Star break, right? Where we felt like the Cavs have really hit a wall. Oh no, maybe the injuries have piled up to a point to where they're not going to be the team that we hope they could be at parts during this year. And I think the Cavs over this last weekend have really taken a huge step in the right direction when it comes to that, because what they have done, they beat on a back-to-back. They beat the Denver Nuggets, and they just beat the Detroit Pistons. I know people are going to be like, oh, you beat the Pistons? It's not even a big deal. Look, man, for different teams are an issue for whatever reason. The Detroit Pistons have been very annoying for the Cleveland Cavaliers the last few weeks, right? Every time they have played the Detroit Pistons, it's been a position where we need to win that damn game, and the Detroit Pistons just don't want to give it up. Just don't. Just be out here just shooting threes at a high level. They don't do that normally, but they do that against the Cavs. Like, the Detroit Pistons have been a thorn in the side of the Cavs' neck for a couple of weeks now. And what we saw today was that they were down early, and then they just roared back and just kind of took this thing away from them at the end of it. We're going to get into the box scores. I'm going to try to cover the last two games here, because I haven't been covering the Cavs as much on this channel as of late. It's not anything personal. I still love the Cavs. It's just, the Browns have had me busy for the last week and a half. So cut a brother some slack, y'all. You know what I mean? Just cut me some slack. Just a little bit of slack, right? But we saw some things. Look, I think the more and more I watch the Cleveland Cavaliers, I know that Darius Garland is the best player on the team. I know that Evan Mobley will be the player that takes this team to the next level. I know that Karis LeVert is an important piece. I know that Kevin Love is an important piece. But, man, my favorite piece is Isaac Okoro. I just like him. I like how he plays. I like his defensive style, and I love that he's being more aggressive. Like, the man goes out there and plays basketball as if it was football, and I find that not only very entertaining to watch, but just also, everybody has that player, right? Whenever it comes to any sport, everybody has that player that when they do something, for whatever reason, it connects to you on such a different level that it excites you at a different level because you understand it or you feel it at a different level, right? For the Cavs, there's Isaac Okoro, right? For the Browns, what I get excited about, the trenches and all the physical stuff, right? So whenever JOK makes a play, y'all have seen me get super duper hype about it. Whenever Myles Garrett gets a sack, you know how I am about these things, right? And if the Browns draft Perion Winfrey, we going to be doing it again. But also another thing to note, the Cavs have now with this win clinched not being under 500. They have 41 wins. There's 82 or 81 games in the NBA, so they cannot be under 500, which means they pretty much locked down the playoffs right at this point. Now, I'm going to look at the standings real quick to see where the Cavs are. But 41 wins, I mean, you're going to play in a playoff game. Whether it's the play-in game or an actual series, we will see where they are in the standings. But, hey, man, they're doing good. Now, we're going to pull up the standings here momentarily. There we go. All right, so the standings are as such. Cavs are the 6th seed, where you want to be, because 7, 8, 9, stay away from this play-in tournament. And the reason you want to stay away from this play-in tournament is one thing, right? It ain't the Raptors. It ain't the Hornets. It's them. It's them damn Nets. Stay away from them. They the boogeyman. Let them let the Heat deal with that. Or let the 76ers deal with that. Ain't nobody trying to deal with that at the beginning of the playoffs, especially if you have to play them on the road where Kyrie's going to play. Kyrie's been on fire lately. So you want to avoid those kind of problems and stay away from the play-in game. Now, if they get into the play-in game, I think they'll at least be the 8th seed, right? Like, they'll at least win a game in the play-in tournament, get the 8th seed. I don't think they'll play themselves out. I would find it highly unlikely. They're too well coached and too good of a defensive team to play themselves out. So that would mean you would play like the Heat. Either way, I'd rather deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, and as crazy as that sounds, because they won the championship last year, but I would rather deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. Look, man, we done seen what the 76ers do to us. They cook us every time. Joel Embiid is a problem. Don't want nothing to do with that. Ain't none of our bigs strong enough yet. Maybe in a couple of years, once Evan Mobley gets bigger, we can deal with them kind of problems, and once Joel Embiid just slows down. But right now, Joel Embiid out here playing like prime Shaq. I'm good on that. Prime Shaq that can shoot threes. I'm good on that. I am absolutely good on that. Speaking of Shaq, though, you won't have to end up with a damn Milwaukee Bucks who has like Orlando Shaq on their roster. So either way, you're going to have to deal with something, right? The Heat are a really good team, but I would rather the Nets play that and they could take care of each other and do whatever y'all have to do there. But yeah, that's where you really want to end up. Look, at the end of the day, there's no team in the East you want to play in the playoffs, right? Like nobody unilaterally 1 through 9 wants to play anybody in the East right now. Nobody wants to play the Heat. Nobody wants to play the Sixers. Nobody really wants to play the Bucks. The Celtics have been terrifying as of late. The Bulls have been losing a lot more often, so maybe they're the team you want to catch in a 4-5 game. But even then, the Cavs really ain't been that great against the Bulls this year at times. The Raptors, sure. But then we're talking about like the 7 seed, right? Like 1 through 6. You don't want nothing to do with them. And then plus the Nets, those are problems. Those are real life problems for teams here. But let's get in. We're going to talk about this game real quick, just break some things down. Kevin Love made a huge 3 in transition. He pulled up one of them deep threes he likes to go with, and sometimes he drives me crazy with that because sometimes he doesn't need to. But today he did it and he made it. So ultimately, I can't be mad at the whole situation right there. Let's see what else. Let me get the box score up. Excuse me while I try to pull up things for your viewing pleasure. Right. And the thing that's impressive, Friday they went to overtime with the Denver Nuggets, right? They went to overtime with the Denver Nuggets and then came back on the back-to-back, even though it was a home back-to-back, but came back on the back-to-back and played well, right? We have seen that be an issue with this team, is playing well off those back-to-backs, putting 2 good games back together, especially after the All-Star break. So that was just great to see. Great to see. All right, let's get into some of these team statistics. If I can get my mouse to work. All right, so 3-point percentage. Look, the Cavs gave up a little bit high on the 3-point percentage, 43%. Cavs shot 38, but they got it in the field well. And what do they do on free throws? Free throws, they got the free throw advantage there. The percentage was still awful. They got to fix that. They got to be more consistent there. But rebounds and just defensive effort at the end of the game really got them this one. Damn, Jameer, he had 40 points. That's crazy. That is crazy, dog. All right, let's get into the Cavs. Larry had 8. Lamar Stevens. Is it Lamar? I just think it's Lamar because I see L. Yeah, Lamar Stevens had 15. Good defensive player. He's really been proving that he might be worth some minutes, man. I don't know if he's worth playoff minutes, but he ain't hurting you when he's out there. So he's good. He's just, the one thing with him is he's a 15-minute guy. Like, I like where they have him when it comes to minutes, 15, 16 minutes. If you put him out there for 30 minutes, he's going to start getting angry and fouling dudes and trying to fight. Like, that, you like that bulldog, but that bulldog can't be in the game for 40 minutes, right? So 15 is really good for him. 15 points off of 15 minutes is excellent. He's not going to do that all the time. I'd be happy with 6, right? So 15 off 15 minutes, can't be mad at that. Darius Garland played the whole game pretty much, 24 points. Evan Mobley with 12 and how many rebounds he had? 12 and 11, and then he was a big factor on the defensive side, as always. Okoro out here made a huge 3 at the end of the game. Same thing with Markkanen. Markkanen put the dagger down at the end of the game. Look, Markkanen's ability to make open shots can't go understated because that's just something you need, right? Kevin Love, I think he played pretty well. Cedi Osman, I think he had his first really good game back in the rotation for a minute because he got some DMPs. He got a whole DMP against the Denver Nuggets. And, he really wasn't getting any minutes. So it's nice to see him get back out there, score some points. get his confidence back out going. Caris LeVert with 9. It's a slow grind to get him back to where we need. And right now I've been a little bit disappointed with Caris's output so far. I hope that improves as time goes on and he's just getting comfortable coming back from this injury. But we're gonna need him to step it up a little bit, right? We're gonna need 18 on a consistent basis from him, especially in the playoffs. But we'll see what happens when that happens. But the Cavs sit at 41-30 for the first time since what, the 90s. I don't even know when. Since Dan Gilbert's on the team, this is the first time without a LeBron James on the roster that this Cavs team will not be under 500. I mean, that pretty much puts them in the playoffs. Just a fantastic day. I think they really grew up today. I think this is a real big moment. We'll see. They play the Lakers on Monday. We know how LeBron is when he comes back to Cleveland. He tends to put on a show. So that's going to be something for them to be tested on. LeBron, this is a young team. LeBron takes advantage of young teams a lot, but the Lakers are not playing well as a unit. So we have to see. That's another game that the Cavs should win. And again, this is tight here. Right here, this whole race between 4, 5, 6, 7, and 6 and 7, right? The race to stay out of the 7 seed is razor thin. The Cavs do have that. I think they do have the tiebreaker over the Raptors because they won against them, but still, it's razor thin, right? The Bulls could be that 7th seed if they lose more games and look like they might tread towards that. The Cavs could be the 7th seed if they lose a game, you know what I mean, at the wrong time. And the Raptors are the 7th seed. And right there is the boogeyman, the Nets, who are now over 500, and they're sitting there comfortably in the 8th seed right now. And then the play-in game and all of that, I find it highly unlikely that the Nets lose 2 games in a row and stay out the playoffs. So that's the race right now for the Cavs. Again, thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.